So welcome back to Be More Super. I'm your host, Brian, and we've got a great guest. She is an actress, writer, producer, filmmaker, and travel expert. It's Marcia Kimpton. Marcia, welcome to the show, my love.
Oh, well, thank you, Brian. I made it. There are a few
Yes, you made it. You're
way,
here. You're here. And I had the extreme pleasure of watching An American Abroad today. And I loved every second of it. Not only, the lovely locations, but the comedy, the emotion, everything about it. And we're going to talk about it in detail. But in your own words, Marcia, if you could explain what An American Abroad is. I've got a poster here to pop up on screen. Here you go. If you could explain to the world a bit about your latest project.
Well, I mean, Brian, you just made my day. Thank you. Especially since, the car broke down, the internet wasn't working. So thank you. That's a double whammy. So it is out of my heartfelt love for travel. I want to do a show. Well, it really was a TV show. It was a 9-part TV series that for some reason didn't sell. I was really proud of it. So I made it into a film. And it goes to 6 countries, as you know. It goes to Portugal, it goes to France, it goes to Turkey, it goes to Greece, it goes to South Africa and Netherlands, most specifically Amsterdam. And it's my favorite places to go. So that was the first thing. And then I thought, well, I should have been a travel reporter in my life, not just a filmmaker and a late night host. So I made this fictional travel reporter. I used my name so I could use some of my old late night host clips, and I could really confuse the viewer and make them think it's real. And some people have thought it's real. And so I basically started with the idea that I love to travel, make a fictional travel reporter. Yes, I am a little bit older, so I've dated younger men. So why don't I bring in the comedy of having a relationship with a younger man? And it could be any relationship, as you know, but it's a little different when you have a dynamic of an older woman and a younger man. And I don't feel it's like that cougar kind of idea. It's really a real relationship. And is it going to work post-COVID? Because anybody that was single didn't date. And that's where this idea came up. I wasn't dating, being single. And then my other goal with the movie. So I literally created it out of all my passions and my quirky comedy. I'm just constantly writing notes of weird, funny things. Like, I'm an anti-EMF, but I'm on Wi-Fi, but I turn it off every night. So some of the jokes are really real and based on me. And my co-actor co-wrote it with me, meaning I wrote all of it first, and then he made it all better and tighter. Who plays Arnold, Brian Gross, did that. But the ending goal to this movie was to make people laugh. And it came out of COVID. That people weren't laughing and all the news was depressing. And I also don't see a lot of good romantic comedies anymore. So I thought, I think I can pull this off. So that's how this film came together.
And you definitely pulled it off, because the comedy in this film is very natural. And I love that, because that, I think, is the best comedy, because you're not looking for the punchline. It's literally life comedy, and the relationship on screen that you have as well. To be fair, I didn't think of the age difference, to be honest, because I thought the relationship was pretty sweet, to be fair.
I think it's a very real one, but thank you for not really seeing. Yeah, there's close to, I think it's 14 years difference.
Yeah, it's a number. It's fine. No, but Marcia, you star in, direct, you co-wrote and produced An American Abroad. You're wearing a lot of hats. Did you ever argue with yourself on set?
That is really a great question. Never. Yeah, I'm very, very clear. I have a very clear vision, but I couldn't do it without my, really my co-producer, co-partner, not in real life, but in business, Justin McLeese. He's the cinematographer. He shot everything from my first film called My Reality, my second film, Bardo Blues, that's on Amazon and is award-winning. And he and I have this kind of incredible symbiosis. I can go, is that going to work? Is that not? he makes everything with his brother Ian McAleese, and then we had a Dutch cinematographer, Jeroen Simmons. So I had three incredible, top-notch photographers. Really, Justin being the person that was in charge as the DP, and it was just this constant symbiosis. It was so easy and perfect that I cannot even tell you how amazing it was. I turned to the right, and it's like he could read my mind, and he just made everything look more beautiful. And for him, what he wanted to have, and I believe that you've said it, is this cinema postcard. If you couldn't travel to those places, you felt like you went. And he's just so extraordinary. So no, I didn't argue with myself. I did take on too much. And at times when I look at it without going into my age, I'm like, God, do I look tired? But I was doing everything. I had a really good assistant, but I really did do it all. And it's not to brag, it's my own money. So I didn't want it. I was taking already 10 people around the world. I didn't want to take another two. And so it was, looking back at it economically, I saved, but I think it paid a little price on my health. I really walked away going, I need a serious long break. And I did, because it was just too much pressure. But at the same time, I loved every single second of it.
I bet. And if you ever do it again, Marcia, I'm more than welcome to come along. I make a very good cup of tea. And I'll bring the biscuits.
Yeah, I think I'm going to need more than a cup of tea from you, Brian. But you know what? You may get the job, but you're going to have to move around a lot.
I bet. So Marcia in this film is the type of woman I think everyone wants to spend time with, because she is a character. She's lovable. She's got her quirks, which I think is hilarious. I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but especially when she goes to bed. I just think that I would chuckle to myself if I was in that room with her. To be fair, I'd probably join in with the quirks because I think they're amazing. How much of Marcia is you that we see on screen? You did slightly touch on it earlier on, but how much of that character is you?
But it's an extension. Yeah, it's just easy to write the things that I see and feel. But every line in there, except for when we go up to the people, real people. And that's only 5% of the whole movie is real people. Every line is memorized, and I'm really not good at memorizing. And what I really learned about comedy, my co-actor and co-writer, Brian Gross, he has to have the lines down perfectly. So he doesn't like a little improv or there. That's just the way he acts, and he's a much more experienced actor than me. So it was really hard. I had to get all the lines down because for him, he could go with it. Actually, that bedroom scene was improv because I had so many things that it's a new relationship that I do before I go to bed. This is an extension. I don't do all those things in real life. So I said to him, you know what, the skit that we have, the script is just not cracking. Let's just improv. He did such a great job not cracking up in that. So that is the only scene in the entire movie where he's improving, but he doesn't like improv. So I had to get all the lines down that we had written. And yeah, that character is me, but still comedic timing, unless you have done comedy, you have no idea how hard it is. It is so much harder than drama. And I'm not, a known dramatic actress, but I have done drama. You have to get the timing down, because if you're not real, and I think one of the greatest people ever, outside of the obvious Lucille Ball and Mary Tyler Moore, that's my age group, but is Jennifer Aniston. She always had that. She's got dialogue going in her head that she's really listening, but we don't know what her next line. Her timing is impeccable. And so people don't realize that even if it's a character that's an extension of you, you have to memorize the lines. You have to believe that this is your first time saying them when you wrote them, and they are you. Extension, again, it's an exaggeration of Marcia Kimpton. And then you have to take that pause, like the waiting in line in Hydra, Greece. First off, we're post-COVID and nobody is around. It was great traveling, but we couldn't pay for extras. So we had to literally go to the cafe and say, the cafe said, okay, which is now no longer there because I was just there in Hydra. it just fell apart, like the roof came in, which is just so strange. So I had to go up to each of the people and say, we're filming this movie. Could you just move in a little bit and we'll pick up your coffee? So we made it look busier. There was no line for the ferry. So, Justin was brilliant. He'd do this much. Then he asked a couple extras and do another shot to make it look like there was a long line. But the timing of getting that, we did hire that waiter as the extra, but with us too, all these extras that are not real extras, and taking a deep breath and saying, I don't wait in lines. And that's the skit. I do wait in lines in real life, but this one woman I do know does not wait in lines, and she's not privileged. She's not wealthy. She's an acupuncturist, and if she goes into the post office or any other place, she leaves. And I said to her, how'd you do this in New York City? Do you ever visit New York City? And she goes, yeah, it made it quite difficult.
Wow. Wow. But you know what? I'm British. I'm British. We love lines. If we see a line, we were just waiting it. We don't know what it's for. We were just waiting it. But I might try the term I don't wait in lines. I don't think I'll make it 20 years. In it.
Yeah. You believe this? In real life, this woman has not waited in the line.
That is crazy.
Because it makes life difficult.
What a character. What a character to say that I don't wait in lines. I think that's great. I mean, with this film, you travel around the world, and I was going to ask you about the extras because, there is a lot of people that I gather on part of the project in the way of actors. So did that come with challenges? Because you interview quite a few great characters that I gather is real people. I mean, but what challenges did that face during production?
Well, because I was an entertainment reporter and I've always loved people, I was on the morning show in San Francisco and then eventually got my own late night show. I just love interviewing people. So interviewing people isn't as challenging as trying not to be rude because they'll go on too long and then just having to cut them off. And, you're paying for the production. You need to get on to another person. So that wasn't too hard. It was very hard with the extras because we had to constantly make the place look like it was full. South Africa, we had a really good local producer. So she got in South Africa a lot of those. Or if we're on the safari section, we just ask everybody if they want to be. And then my producer, Deidre Demand, just, or my assistant gets the release. So almost everybody wants to be on camera, I've noticed. But we worked in real environments, and Portugal was just, post-COVID or not, I will never go back and film there. It's a wonderful place. But I don't know if the traffic is outrageous, and it's so narrow with the trams. And then you're trying to deal with all these circumstances that you don't anticipate. Sorry about that. I tried to turn off this.
It's okay. It's okay. We've won a prize. I think that indicated a prize for one of the viewers. The locations, I've got to say, you went to one of my favorite places I've ever been in my whole life, which was South Africa.
That? Oh, so tell me, did you have the greatest experience in Cape Town in the safari?
I didn't do the safari. I went to Cape Town, went up to Boulders where the penguins are. Then I went up to Stellenbosch. I went up to Spears Vineyard where the cheetahs are, and I went to see the ostriches. But I never did the safari, but that gave me my love for wine. And I'm now a proud red wine drinker. But
you want specifically South Africa because you're very close to France, and I love French wine. But you specifically like the flavor of South African red wine.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's very different.
A nice Shiraz or Pinot. But do you know what? I would drink anything from South Africa. I think it's a wonderful country. So how long did it take to film this film? Over all the locations, because surely it's not a whirlwind sort of trip. It must have taken some time.
Well, we're trying to do it all one summer of 2021, but then COVID or Omicron hit South Africa, and so we came to a dead stop. Now that was a blessing in disguise, because so basically we went from Amsterdam to, was it Turkey first? God, it's all a blur. But yeah, Istanbul to Cappadocia to Hydra, Greece, to Patmos Island. Then everybody went home to their families or their loved ones, and I sat there and prepped for France. And then we went to France, and then we were supposed to go to South Africa, and we couldn't. And I think I diverted at that moment. Let's do Portugal. And then South Africa we'll do in November. And the blessing in disguise is that it was nice and warm, which, South Africa, it can be pretty cold in the winter if you haven't been there. And so I'm really glad, but we didn't know it was going to be this warm. For Americans, it's 108 degrees. I think that's 48 Celsius, if not 44. And so we're in Northern Kruger National at Pafuri Lodge. It's really authentic. Like, this is real safari. And if anybody's listening, it's really affordable. And I've even taken a spontaneous trip there because I decided that I needed to get to Africa when I just was getting tired of America. And it was 50% off. So if anybody decides spontaneously to do a safari, look up Pafuri Lodges. It could be last minute. Nobody does last minute safari except for me. But it's 50% off. But at the time, it was not. We planned it, and it turned out to be 48 Celsius. So the upside, I want to go with that always first, is that all the animals went to the river. So Pafuri is really authentic safari. It's on the borderline is Zimbabwe and Mozambique. And there are no, like most safari camps have fences. And we're talking about major miles, hectares, kilometers, whatever you want to call it. So you never see the fence. Well, Pafuri, they go between Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and Northern Kruger. So you have no guarantee, which is why it costs less there. Because you have no guarantee you're going to see. If you go down, in the regular Kruger National, there's a guarantee, and you pay for that guarantee. So we got the guarantee with with 48 Celsius that all the animals are at the river. So we got all these beautiful animal shots. 6 a.m., no problem. We went out there on the walking safari. It's made looking fake, of course, but there's walking safaris every day. No problem. We are working all day in the tent, okay? We have a 10-hour day of working because we're filming. It is so hot that I finally turned to my Dutch producer. I said, are you sure we can't reenact this in Amsterdam later? Because I cannot work at 48 Celsius. And he says back with a Dutch accent, no way. You're not going to make a safari camp, no matter how much you try to do it. In Amsterdam. It was brutal, but again, it was this incredible experience of all these positive things, but I will never forget. Every time I watch the scene about the watch, all I think about is how hot I was then. So.
And I love the great scene with the peacock. I thought that was fantastic. It was like it was meant to be.
Do you think that was a blessing? And so this is a great story. I love this interview with you. Thank you for loving my film and asking great questions. I really mean that, Brian. That peacock, okay, the owner or the general manager happened to be with us at that time. He's the one guy that I interview at Aquila, which is affordable safari in South Africa. It's about $250 a night. And, it's not the safari you dream of, but you get to go on safari for $250. So, and the food was great. The people are great. It's just not a lot of animals. And it was so tragic. The rhinoceroses we saw there, a bunch of them had gotten poached after we filmed them. It just kills me. And it was a place to prevent poaching. But he was right next to me when the peacock was there. And I was sitting there with my cinematographer, Jeroen Simmons. And I said, Jeroen, you've got to film this. So we start filming the peacock. And all of a sudden, it opens up to me. And I couldn't believe I could improv. See the Palladians, because the whole skit's about the Palladians, right? It ends, and the general manager comes up to me and said, you realize that is the most ornery peacock. I haven't seen it do that in years. I was like, what? He said, it never opens up. It's just a little nasty. And that was a beautiful peacock that was not nasty to me. So I actually, every time I see that, I feel like it's got an incredible blessing for the movie. The peacock, because animals are so sensitive, and if you don't approach them right, they can pick up on your energy, and it could tell how excited I was. But again, the general managers go, we've had a lot of excited tourists here, Marcia. They don't open up for camera. So that is so cool that you picked that one.
And you can't plan that, and you can't get trained peacocks. As far as I know, there isn't an agency for trained peacocks, so that was completely natural and a great shot. But without giving too much away, is there a particular moment, taking the peacock scene aside, in American Abroad, that still makes you laugh or tear up when you watch it?
Well, I appreciate that question, because if you are a filmmaker, you know that you've edited the film down and watched it so many times that you are literally tired of it. So the one that really keeps me going every single time, there's two actually. The wine moment when she brings her own wine into the restaurant.
Yeah.
I did that. And this exact moment happened because I was writing American Abroad in Waikiki Beach, and I was on a serious budget. This is my own dollars, and I did the house wine. Well, that isn't going to happen again because I had the worst headache the next morning, and then I can't write as well. So I went and bought my favorite wine, Fariente, which is a California Chardonnay, for about $80. So it's not inexpensive, but I never get a hangover. I think it's organic. So I'm doing this in real life, and the waiter comes over. So I keep on pouring. They had cement on the floors, and every time, I have the cheap wine I've bought, and then I pour it, and I put my wine in. And the waiter comes over after 15 minutes. He goes, "Do you not like your wine? Because you're not drinking it. It's staying at the top." And I just was thinking, oh my God, he's going to catch me. Oh my God, he's going to catch me. Of course, this is the worst wine, but this is my wine. I go, the ice. It's the ice. The ice is melting. So every time I see that scene, and really Brian Gross, who plays Arnold in real life, he's not a wine connoisseur. He likes it, but he's just not like me. I'm a real wine snob. And I know you're not supposed to do that, and you're supposed to pay a corkage fee. But I don't think this restaurant would have even let me do that. It just wasn't one of those kind. I do pay the corkage fee. I don't try to bring my own wine into every restaurant. But every time I see that, I laugh. And then the other one that I really laugh is I've been to about 1,000 psychics. So every time where I'm working with the Turkish, that's a cast actor, and she's actually British, but she lives in Istanbul. The Turkish psychic, I think about how many guys I've dated, and like, you're not, or even my daughter will say, you're not gonna call another psychic. And it just was based on my life, but I wouldn't ask if I'm gonna marry a guy on TV, with a psychic. That's not me at all. I would be much more low key about it.
Do you know what? I've never actually thought about psychics. I mean, what is it about psychics that you love? Because it's one of those things that I don't know what to believe, but I'm very open.
They've all been wrong. They've all been wrong, unless this turns out to be the biggest hit, and it should be. I appreciate you promoting it, because I dream that it's the biggest hit, because it's all my heartfelt comedy and all my own money. But every psychic said, you are going to be the biggest star. You're going to create the best movies and do a late night show. And I did do a late night show. I did it twice. I did a second one in Stellenbosch, and we used that at the end of the film. But so far, the psychics have been wrong, and I've lost a lot of money.
Oh, bless you. But you know what? Taking aside the money that you spent and everything like that, I mean, talking about content and movies and independent films that are out there, there are some terrible films out there. But this one, I absolutely adore. Yeah. You can feel how much love. I think independent films. I think you do get a lot more heart and soul from, because you haven't got interference from big sort of studios and executives that tell you to do it one way or the other. You do it your own way, and you can tell that in the film. You're doing quite a lot of festivals with this film before it comes out in the theaters and streaming. What sort of reception are you getting at the festivals, and what does that make you
Well, our
feel?
first one is in August, and I
Right,
think
okay.
this is going to air in September, right, to promote
Yes.
it. And
Yes.
the release date is October 3rd. So the first big one is Croatia International. We are getting in small ones that are not, it's not that they're not called official, but the world premiere is at the Croatian International Film Festival in August. The second premiere is in London on September 6th. And yeah, you can go see it at the London Rolling Film Festival. We just were one of the few chosen in Piccadilly at the
Oh,
theater.
wow.
And I used to live in London. I used to live in Covent Garden. So for me, this was just such an honor. Like, I walked past Piccadilly every single day to work. So I'm really excited about that. And then the rest are pretty much all through the fall. And I haven't heard about those. But those are the two big ones. And maybe I'll see you there, Brian.
I was just about to say, I mean, I've been to London 3 times in the last 6 days for stuff, for the Superman premiere and spending the weekend with Mel Gibson, going back to the media screening of Superman as well. So September time, count me in. I'd love to come down and be part of that.
And where are
premiere.
you located, Brian? Where are you located?
I am the best way to describe it is Robin Hood country. So I'm in the Midlands, so near a place called Mansfield, which is near Nottingham. I'm in the middle of Sherwood Forest, so it's quite a nice area. But I've lived in Spain, I've lived in Cyprus. I lived in Menorca, which is the smallest of, as you would know, the smaller the Balearics, and then I lived in Cyprus for a year because I used to sing and perform. That was my job many moons ago. I was on the West End when I was younger, and then now I'm
West
settled
End,
down.
come on.
Yeah.
You just say that under your breath. That's our Broadway in New York.
That was my younger self. Now I'm all grown up. I've got kids. I've gone grey, and I've got cats. So life is life is complete. So back to your awesome film, Marcia. What do you want? Theatre goers to take away from your film, when it comes to the festivals. What is the message that you want them to walk away with?
Well, I want people to travel, and I want people to find joy again. Maybe it's a temporary thing, because it's just the whole purpose of the film is to just bring joy and laughing at yourself, and to just be excited to travel. And if you can't afford to get to South Africa, right, you at least got to see South Africa. So I'm really proud of that. There is an addendum. I thought it was kind of interesting when you said there's some bad films. I would say, the 70s, 80s, and 90s, especially the 70s, were some of the best films ever. But I think the filmmaking, unless it's independent, as you said, for the most part, F1 was unbelievable, but has gone down. And so I developed an app called Kimpton's Travel and Film app, where I recommend it. I try to do it mostly indie. Some of the films you definitely know, like Michael Clayton, I just think is one of the best films ever. So I list over 100 films in it, and then I list all my favorite travel spots on this yearly subscription for only $7.99 US dollars. And it's really my passion. So American Abroad is a kind of an addendum. I developed the app after American Abroad because I had so much knowledge about traveling, and my family. I grew up in traveling in the hotels. But the interesting thing about what happened was that all my friends, as we couldn't find a lot of good stuff, would call me up and say, what do you recommend? And I realized I could put it on an app and then just keep on updating. I did not realize that I loved every second of making that movie every second of it. I did not like 1 second of developing the app. So that I am not, it's forget technical person. I just didn't like the company I was working with, and just the whole process of it was not fun and creative. But making a movie is fun and creative, and it's really a miracle. Spike Lee said that when you finally complete a film, it's a miracle. You did it, and then it's a miracle if it's really good. So my heart is warmed that you got it. The amount of rejections we have gotten in film festivals, I'm like, there's no way they're looking at the film, because they get too many. Because I didn't expect that much rejection. I've gotten enough rejection in Hollywood, to fill. I think my whole entire house would be filled with rejection letters. But what I wanted to say is I didn't think they watched it because there's not a lot of joyful films. And so when I look at these other film festivals where we got rejected, they're picking up horror. They may be picking up some really cool indie stories. But do we need more horror films out there?
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of horror films on Amazon, Netflix.
So are we going to see any more from the American Abroad? Have we got plans to do more? Sorry.
Yeah, I hope you see a sequel. I will say that after doing enough acting, not that people have seen my acting, I finally just want to direct. But I'd like to do a sequel to it, and I have a 9-part TV series of all the things that didn't make it into the film. It'll probably go on my app if I don't sell the TV series. So I've got more funny stuff, but you did see the best of the best. And I see making a second, and I'm working on a film called Tanzam, which is just, I love Africa, and I love animals in Africa. And there's an elephant human conflict where the elephants come into the town because there's too many people now, and they end up not intentionally killing the people, and then the people end up killing the elephants because they're coming into town. So I have this whole movie based on how to solve it as a contemporary biracial out of Africa story, and I want to direct that, and that's what I'm working on a lot. And then I'm also making a travel coffee table book of all my travels, because and I don't think I'll call it an American Abroad, but I may, because it's definitely, I've been to over 40 countries. So I'm working on that right now, but I hope American Abroad does have a sequel. And we've written it with a larger cast, because, I paid for this. I want someone else to pay for it, and I want more characters. And we have a Turkish character, we have a Nigerian Dutch character, we have a much broader cast, and it would be based out of Amsterdam because that's my favorite city in the world, and I also live there. And but again, the whole thing is written, and so it's just got to be financed by someone else.
Do you know, I cannot wait, and I cannot wait for viewers to watch this at the festivals and when it comes streaming out, because it's just a warm story of hope. The best way I can describe it is two characters that are quite they're not similar in places, but I love how they come together, and I just think it's beautiful to see on screen, and I can't wait for people to see it, and I want to see more. I want to see where the story goes, and let's demand a sequel as soon as we can. But one last question before we bid farewell. If I was speaking to Marcia from the film, what advice would she give me for interviewing people? What that key piece of advice would she give?
Well, if she had an interview with you, like she has had, again, extension, you're really good. So I don't think she would give you a lot of advice, because you're already doing it. And what comes to me is you've got to be yourself, because you have to be the person. I'm so bad at technology. I tried to turn off the message.
It's okay.
But you have to be yourself, because that's the only way. If you're authentic to yourself, and then people see right through if you're not. And I will tell you, some people don't even watch my movies. They don't even look at my app. I have a memoir called Escaping Hollywood Bardo, because of just dealing with Hollywood. and they don't even read my book, and then they do an interview, and they do it based on the press release, and I can always tell that they haven't done, they're trying to try to act like they have done their research, but right away. So you are really such a good interview because you've done the research. So I have no comments on what Marcia the character or Marcia in real life would say, because you did all of it. You're very authentic. You're a great listener, which is really important when you do interviews. And you did your research in preparation, because I don't understand why someone would do an interview and not research what
I always watch the films. I always read the biographies, and it makes it even extra special when I actually really enjoy the film, which I do.
Okay, my question to you is, what do you do when you don't and you've already booked? Because you can always find good in someone, but what do you do when you don't like
do you know what? I am just professional. I'm the type of person that I'm not a real critic. Real critics pull things apart to make themselves look wonderful, like they know what they're talking about. But do you know what, Marcia? Thank you so much.
The thing is that you always find the positive, and you always, because there's an artist is an artist, and you're an artist, so you can relate to the artist's journey, and it's not an easy one.
No. But it's easy for this interview because this film is fantastic, Marcia. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. I'm going to end it there before my whole computer melts. But I'd love to catch up with you. I would love to catch up with you in the future, maybe in September, for the London premiere of An American Abroad. I will put the links below for your app and everything under there. All your wonderful things, your YouTube channel and everything like that. And I look forward to speaking to you in the future, Marcia.